presenter and moderator that allows conversations to take place. All I do is make sure we can talk about anything and everything. The only difference with this program is we do it decently. So in other words, won't hear any shouting or throwing, dirty words around. We just keep it decent, but then have a conversation about all these issues affecting us as a community. So if you've just joined us, my name is Kassim Kayira. The program is Come, Let's Talk. And we are live on 75W Radio. We are live on Umma Connected. We are streaming live at the moment on YouTube. We are live on Zoom and we are live on Facebook. Just look for www.75wradio.com or just go to YouTube, look for Umma Connected, and you will be with us. The program tonight, another very interesting topic. We are asking how much involvement should children have when it comes to their parents' marital affairs. Of course, like we said, it comes off the backdrop of a video that went viral across the world, raising a lot of conversations and debates across the world. But if you just, of course, you might not have seen or been a part to this conversation before, or maybe you haven't even watched the video. Why don't I allow you to see this video, watch the video, and then that should help us now to make up our minds about the conversation that we're talking about. It's about, well, of course, let me just spoiler alert. It's girls, it's daughters who check through their father's phone. Once they bump into the father's phone, they start checking the father's phone. Once they check the father's phone, they find some uncomfortable messages. Father communicating with another lady who is definitely not their mom. Take issue with that, and then in the sitting room with mother in there, they start shouting. Why don't I just let you have a look at that, and then we keep the conversation. Isma in the studios, if you have that clip ready, please, let's have it and let it help our conversation now to sort of flow. Let's see, and then you will be the judge. Off the back of that, we'll just to try and paint scenarios. If this was to happen to you, how would you have dealt with it? If you find yourself in a similar situation, what would you do? Isma, if you have the clip ready, we're good to go. Bismillah. And the conversation here, the way the program works, if you're just joining us for the very first time, this is a freestyle program. In other words, everyone is an active participant. In other words, if you're just there and I see your name and I say, Kayira, I've seen you coming on, what is your view on this? Do not worry. If you're at work, we will understand. But you can always just put a message into the chat room and we will be able to read it. Jukira, you will free comfortable with the English, just flow with your Uganda. I think the point will still be met. I'm sure some of you are very, very, sort of fasting where you are at, thinking about what exactly transpired 2 weeks ago. But of course, as we will find out, the story has taken a totally different dimension. Isma, we have the clip ready. If we are ready for you, please. Let's have that clip, and then we can open our conversation around that, especially for those who haven't seen, but even for those who saw, maybe it might help to refresh their minds and bring them into tonight's conversation. Isma, are you there? Hello, Isma, are you there? I was waiting for a signal from Isma, but since he hasn't come in, no problem. Whenever he's ready, I think we'll pick up on the clip. But of course, what I was saying is with the clip, many people were very, very annoyed out there, annoyed by the manner in which, the children were talking to their dad, the calmness. Why do I actually spoil the, I think we'd rather leave it for you to pick up your own minds. But ultimately, it's really brought out a lot of things regarding children's upbringing, especially in the West. How close do we get to our children? Because I think that's where actually this particular topic emanated from, looking at the manner in which the children were speaking to their father in front of their mother, without their mother's intervention. Of course, she was angry. There was an element of cheating involved in this. But as a parent, probably you have done it differently. And sometimes it's difficult. It's easier to say probably when you're not in a particular setting. But if you found yourself in a similar situation, what would you do? You as truly in the chat say He made his bed. The consequences are what he experienced. I'm sure you have already watched that. And ultimately, children go and parental business should remain parental business. I think that's really the point of tonight's conversation because we're trying to tap into that. What would you do? Many of us find ourselves in similar situations, especially with social media now having come in. People find you on Facebook, they'll find you on WhatsApp. Maybe you are part of a conversation in a group. The next thing is someone gets your number, communication starts, and then stuff happens. What would happen if your phone was to fall? This is actually the thinking of if you were to die and your phone was to be opened and then people had access to your phone, what would you be worried about the most? Isma, please give me an indication when you're ready so that we can play that clip and get our conversation going. Yours truly, I think, continues to say, but also this should remind men the lasting damage such behavior has. I say men, but women cheat also. Yes, well, it's good actually you concluded in a way that we're sort of bringing it to bear because it's not only men, it's not only women, but it's about the whole scenario. In case this sort of situation happened, how do you go about it? In the midst of anger, when you are unable to control your emotions, lots of things that we speak and say in times of anger, and then once we settle, the reality is different. Isma, please talk to me. I'd like to know what's going on in the studio there. Are we good to go? Or should I just open the mics and get the conversation rolling? Hello, Isma. Oh, Isma is gone quiet. Okay. And well, some other people now decided just to go down the route of the message and says, when my kids are out of my house, Maberamu UK, but when they are in my house, Maberamu Uganda. Another very interesting point there. Well, why don't we open the conversation once the studios are ready to get us, then we will be able to. I see a hand up. Is that this saying is ready? I hope so. Can't see that. Okay. Yes, let's see that. I see a hand up. I'll just type it with my apologies. Technology is playing up with me today. Isma, should I assume you're ready or I saw a hand up and I'm trying to see where the hand was coming. Isma, if you're ready, please, let's have that clip. Let's just open up with that and get the conversation opening. Otherwise, we will get our people forward. And I'm sure many people now are blasting wherever they are. It's these scenarios that happen, what would you do? But is it right in the first place that your children can have access to your phone? Should you be going and prying into your wife's phone, for example, leave alone even the children coming into dad's or mom's phone? Would it be right, like for husband to go into wife's phone? Would it be right for husband to go into wife to go into husband's phone? A lot of times, what you don't see doesn't kill, as they say. But of course, there are all these guidelines when it comes to relationship and anything that you want. I'm just waiting to hear from the studio. Isma, if you can please give me an indication, and then I think I'll know where to go. Yes. Studio 2. Right. Hafsa, if you can please, I think I would be able to have added it as a co-host, because I think that's what is holding us.
I'm sorry, what's the matter?
There was 75 the studio 2. It needed to be added on. And that's where, because that's where our video is playing from.
Okay. All right.
Zainab Beggar in the United States is saying, I would divorce my spouse before I let kids embarrass them on social media. In the circumstances, I don't know whether the children knew, whether the wife knew that the message was coming up, because it seemed from the sound of it, I might be wrong. Once you watch it, I think we'll make up our own judgment. But from watching it, it looks like they were just sitting in the living room and then the kids brought up the story. I wonder whether the wife or the mother had been informed before and then she came to be part of the conversation. But it's also the calmness with which the man held this entire conversation. He was just quiet. The only thing he actually comes out to say is, I'm still your father. And yes, he had messed up. Make no mistake, and I'm not trying in any way to justify his particular wandering or meanderings. I do not try to justify that. but it's the manner in which, the scenario in which this was held. People took issue on social media, beginning to raise the issue of saying, beginning even to look at the girls. One of the daughters was really badly seated. The camera is facing there, and many people's attention was actually going into zooming into that particular image instead of even concentrating on what was happening. And people start talking about the house, the setup, the mess in the house. So, which was taking away the whole conversation from where it was supposed to be about the issue of infidelity, and taking it totally away. You will remember that in the United Kingdom, speaking actually about this, I remember this, and Musa Kagoro is saying, Lata Jasasu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us in the Quran that do not pry your eyes where they're not supposed to be, or do not uketa. Just like Julia says, I haven't seen the video, but from your conversation, that matter should remain between the parents. Well, hopefully we'll have the clip playing, and you'll make up your own decision. You will see exactly why it has become such an issue. So, of course, now people start talking about the house, the setup, the mess in the house, but the calmness of the man, suddenly he becomes a victim instead of having been the person who had been behind this whole controversy. The attention now moves to the children and their dress, and then the manner in which they were speaking, and then it's all about upbringing, children's upbringing. How are we doing the right way? Are we allowing our children too much freedom that now is affecting, how we parent, how we parent our children? It's becoming an issue at the moment, because if we brought our children and allow them the freedoms to be able to speak, are we spoiling them? Isma, you are quiet in the studio. Please let me know. Just give me an indication already. We just need that clip, and then I'll open up the conversation. Otherwise, it will be a bit confusing once we allow ourselves to delve and move before we get the clip. Isma, are you there? No. Not sure what's happened to Isma in the studio there, but inshallah. So while we wait, I think, I don't know whether I could actually, because now if I played it from here, I could have shared it. Hafsa, do you think you can share the clip from there? Hello, Hafsa? All right, apologies. Let's just get cracking on the conversation. Once the studio is ready, I think we will be able to, inshallah, bring it up to you once it's ready. I don't know what's happened to Isma, because even the communication now is gone. Just 1 second, bear with me 1 second. My apologies there. That's the issue of technology. All right, it looks like the clip is ready now. My sincere apologies. We can have it now, inshallah, and then we can have our conversation off the back of the clip. Yes, Isma, we are ready when you are. Of course, this clip now is from the United States, so people will have it. Okay, yeah, let's have it.
This is what the kids you didn't want to show.
Yes, sir.
Dad.
That's why we didn't show.
Dad. My suspicion that since this in 20 something, that's when you started seeing this person and whatever. I was just like thinking about whatever you're not doing right. But look, God knows there's God when He does something.
And you don't believe in Him.
God brings things in the light. I don't trace what I don't want.
I'm gonna embarrass the shit out of you.
Look at what.
Tell everyone. Sorry.
This is what eventually. Eventually, see, this is what the kids do not want to show me when they came back and when they're over there. But my intention was that something was not going right, and I say we go for therapy and whatever. But
you didn't want to do therapy.
That means you didn't want to fix you. She want to save the marriage. How many times are you gonna go ahead, Dad? You're fucking ridiculous.
Now we've seen it between all of us as we are sitting down.
Everyone's gonna see it, by the way.
Sit down now.
No, I'm not sitting down. I'm not sitting down, Dad. You should be ashamed.
So
Dad, listen. How many fucking times are you gonna put my mom through the same fucking bullshit? Dad, You tell me about don't add no, don't I don't care who you are. But guess what? You could be my father, but you not no. Listen, Dad, Dad, you have not that father figure. I don't care who you are to me. You are nothing to me.
I found out during the whole day.
She found out.
But I never, me and you don't have a good relationship. So when I saw this and I read this, it didn't hurt.
It didn't hurt her.
I already decided 14
You're a piece of shit.
14 years ago, I lost you as a dad. So 14 years ago, you were my financial bank, and that's what it was. So when I saw this, it didn't hurt me. She found out. Tara found out the day we got back, and Tara cried. Ashley, I even cried with it.
Ashley found out today.
Ashley found out.
I told people I want to kill you, Dad.
Let's say 24 hours. And Ashley loves you.
I
Love you. And that's why she's so mad like this. She loves you. So when you tell her not to yell, that hurts her because you're trying to suppress her moment. No matter that you are her mother, you are her mother.
Dad, you have nothing to say. Daddy, you have nothing. That's fucking disgusting.
So however they feel, you have to sit there and take it.
Dad, I'm embarrassing the shit out of you.
You can be upset, just don't be upset. Like, don't. Some pictures, not good. Seka, you don't know how much I've longed for your big dick of yours. But
really?
TJ isn't far enough.
Well, that's just a snapshot. That's the second clip because the first clip now goes into the details of the messages. I'm sure, looking at what you have just seen now, you can make up your mind. This can actually open up a conversation for us. Of course, we are not the only ones. I can hear Stella Wanderema shouting in the chat room there saying, the girl even says, well, she told her father, you are nothing to me. This is unbelievable. Sophia Murangwa says, I want to kill you. That was too much. Yes, that's one of the daughters now sort of staying in angst. Zena says, if I were a man in such an environment, I think I would stay. I would stray as well. Probably now you can see now the kind of favor that the man starts getting just as a result of this. But in this second clip, he's just saying, I'm still your dad, I'm still your dad. But in the first clip, actually, he's very calm. He was just totally quiet, sipping onto his tea, assuming it was going anywhere. And of course, now that has become a social media sensation. Ismail, if you have that clip about the social media reaction, it's just the quick one that we can just play so that we just open up and have this conversation non-stop. Because once we open, we won't be able to look back. I'd rather leave the microphones now open for you. Yours truly, but she would have more from this. Well, I think that's Zena responding to you as truly. So Ismail, if you have that second clip, please, on the social media. It was a bit quiet. I was getting worried whether you were still alive in the studios there, but it's clear with the clip that we've just had that you are still alive. We just need that second clip on social media reaction. Lots of angst, but a lot of support now for the, not this one. Let's see, play that and let's see. Let's just see it.
Today's reality.
Nope.
Lots of big houses.
That's not the one. That's not the one. It's the one with just says, come, let's talk KK. It should be there with you. That. Essentially, just looking at it, just has the social media reaction. So it will be something like this. Something like that. If you can see that. I think that's the one there. You'll hear this the sound, but it's about the social media reaction. People got so mad, and social media is a slaughterhouse. If you are not ready, I think this is the best place to hide. But while you find the clip, I said, why don't I just open the microphone now and get hearing from you your first reactions, first of all, looking at this particular video. And I'll come to you as truly because you've been very, very active on this. You've just been burning with anger. You as truly, please unmute yourself and let's just hear your first reactions watching this particular video as a parent. What does it make you feel? How did it make you feel? Let me get your reactions first. You as truly, if you can unmute yourself, please. Oh, you are on a bus. Okay, understood. So you were able to chat but unable to speak. Okay, let's just if there's anyone who's out there who we can start speaking to, inshallah, let's just open the conversation. The way this conversation works, yes, the way this conversation works is it's open debate. It's we just get to hear everyone actually can have a say. It's just how you feel, the way you feel it, and we will take you and hear from you. Yes, Isa Makumbi, you open the microphone for us tonight. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the conversation. Hello, Mr. Isa Makumbi, you just disappeared. You came on, raised your hand, I took you in, and you disappeared. Let me go to Zena in the United States. Hi, Zena. Yes, come in, please. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, Zena, you can unmute yourself. Isa, I'll come to you.
Walaikum salam. I'm sorry about my voice. Can you hear me?
Yes, you already mentioned about
Yes. I'll try
yes,
to be audible. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm not supporting cheating men, but everybody, man and woman, wants to be in a non-toxic environment. And how it seems to me, there's a lot of neglect in this specific family, both on the and probably they're tired of each other, which happens in the diaspora. But what we don't know as women is kids to harm their dads when they maybe they cheat. And this is a big problem because you can't tell me that lady didn't know that their marriage was almost over. The way she was sitting there, she was condoning whatever was going on. The way she was sitting, letting a kid tell the daddy that I'm going to kill you, that is not, no matter what the dad did, because I think the man was already tired of the environment he's in. Let's be clear, it just shows on his face. He's tired of it. So cheating is not good, but at the same time, we tend to push these people to the edge. The poor man might be sleeping on the couch every day, probably in his car. And now this is the chance they got to embarrass him. So a lot of people are facing this in the United States. We have to be clear. I'm a woman, but I'm not gonna take her side because if she was a good mom, she would tell the kids stop recording. That's one. These things should not go on social media because the fact is the kid can come and apologize to the dad, but social media will never forget what happened. Nobody will ever forget that. Nobody will ever respect this specific guy. And most of us know the guy and respect him. So that was not okay for the wife to let the kids
Zena,
do what they did. Yeah.
Yes, Zena, Hadija here is saying these are only girls. Or what if there was a boy, maybe he would be on the dad's side. Did you think if there was a boy, it would have provided sort of a balanced voice?
No, I don't think so, because sometimes boys are mom's boys. Moms will probably be boys will be on the mom's side. It doesn't matter what gender they are. I think it's just, I don't know how to say it, but it's clear that that marriage was done for. Everybody can see that it was not there. That's why the kid mentions therapy, and they had no other choice but to embarrass the guy. And that's bad. No matter, even if you divorce someone 10 years, you still have kids with that person. Even if you went with a lot of women, you can't do that because nobody's gonna forget that. And that woman is gonna turn around and say sorry to the husband. But is she gonna say sorry, or is she gonna apologize to the husband to all of us on social media? No. So that was not, it's not smart. I'm just calling out all the mothers. If you're tired of the marriage, just walk out. I know it's hard that you can walk out rather than becoming a fool or making a fool of your husband because you still have kids. I mean, that's my point of view. That's it. I don't want to say my voice.
Yes, Zena and Catherine, sorry, I can see your hand. I'll be coming to you. I just wanted to explore a little bit, Zena, with you before you go, and that is the question of tonight, the role, the place of children when it comes to marital affairs. Looking at this particular scenario, of course, you're saying this was looking clearly as a broken home, but children now coming, where do you think would be the place of the children?
Well, those kids are not even young. They are grown kids. But either you involve them or not, like in the right manner, you can see that they
Oh, Zena,
whether
sorry,
they're involved or not.
your line keeps dropping out, but I'm sure you've made your point.
Yes,
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Catherine Sally, I come to you while reading a message here from Guest. Guest is saying this was their dad growing up. This was their, if there was one person, says this was their one person who they trusted. This was their one person who they trusted, who they could come to with their problems, the one constant in their lives, who's supposed, to be the backbone of their family. The moment that ideal is violated, everything falls apart. You can hear the pain in their voice that shows that it's not just, straight insults, but insults fueled by fury and an overwhelming amount of disappointment. Although the comments can be taken as extreme, anger is blinding. Anger is a blinding emotion, and anger is the only thing those girls felt. It would be very good actually to hear your own take there. Yes, I'll try to see if I can bring you on so that maybe you can try to digest this for us. Yours truly agrees and says there's a lot of pain and hurt for all those that are involved. But as Zena says, I think clearly, you can see that the mistake was the moment you allowed that one to be in that kind of setup, but also two, to get it recorded and then shared on social media. Social media is never forgiving. So these children must be looking back now and sort of regretting probably the decision that they took. Catherine, you're welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. My name is Catherine. I'm in the UK.
Yes, and, Catherine, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you for having me. I just think that children, however old you are, you're never involved in your parents' issues. Those are adult issues. They were your father and mom met together. You were not there. You should not be involved in their issues. But it all starts with the boundaries you as the parents set out when the children are young. What boundaries are you setting? If my husband is going into my handbag, which means we never set up any boundaries. Also with the current technology, these children may have got this information through technology. They're more advanced than the parents.
Yes.
I would like to give that benefit of doubt that it wasn't from the mother, as social media has put it, but it was through technology. So boundaries are very important, but also the children born in the UK, yes, they have a lot of rights, but if you set those boundaries when children are young, it helps them to understand that you have rights, but there are limits. I think the family has not had boundaries. You saw how the children sat, the way they spoke to their dad. Those about boundaries, what can you say to me as a dad, or what can I say to you as your father? So we need to also, the boundaries come from where you come from. We are all coming from certain families, and then we get married. What boundaries are we coming with as parents?
So Catherine, yes, how much involvement, what place do the children have, especially we've got problems now because we're getting a lot of people actually who are not even Luganda speakers as well. So be cautious about that. But it's perfectly fine. Luganda would be good when you are angry. But what should be the position of children when it comes to marital stuff? Stuff has happened, and I don't want to use the word. It's not broadcastable, but it will be has happened. Now that you are in that kind of situation, what should be the position of the children when it comes to,
The children should never be involved in your parents' issues. Whenever you confide in your child about your marriage, as a mother, as a father, you are destroying those boundaries and also destroying that child. You need to limit what you discuss with your child about your marriage. You can discuss it with your friends, but not your child. Because that child is hurt. All she sees is mom and dad, and you're talking bad about your dad, about the child's dad. It affects that child. It is difficult.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it is difficult. But we need to know what we can discuss with our children about our marriages and what we cannot discuss with them.
Catherine, you are a counselor, and you get involved in some of, not necessarily stuff that is straightforward like this, but something related to family affairs.
Yes.
Sometimes you find a husband cheating. Let's now sort of role play into this. You find the husband cheating. What would be your approach? How do you handle it in such a way that the children don't get to know? Since you are setting the boundaries now, the children are not getting involved in this. How do you handle it in such a way that you can? I can see two hands already up, Rashida and Sophia Mrangwa. I'll be coming to you. Catherine, yes, how would you handle it? You check
the
line, and you find
the line has been cutting. Can you repeat that, please?
Oh, my apologies. I was saying we are sort of role playing here, and I'm saying put yourself in a situation where you've ended up checking husband's phone. You find husband has been communicating with someone in a relatively uncomfortable way. How would you handle it in such a way that children do not come in?
Going through my experience, I would not discuss it with my daughter. I will not discuss it with my son. They would see me a heart and asking me, are you okay? I would say, yes, we have issues, but not go into discussion about what their dad has done.
Right.
Because maybe your daughter has got a lot of respect for your dad, for their dad, and you're telling them, oh, my dad, your dad is useless. Your dad has started cheating. That child may not believe you.
Fantastic.
You need to hold that boundary. Go and discuss it with your friend. Go and discuss it with a counselor. Go and shout in the park.
Well,
but
Catherine,
do not discuss that issue with your child.
Fantastic. And I think Noria agrees with you, says children should never be involved in this. And Catherine, I'll bring you back. I just want to, let's first sort of get the quick reaction and then we'll open up. We still have the time. We're here until 10 o'clock, inshallah. Let's go to Rashida, then come to Sophia. Thank you very much, Catherine. And whilst Rashida comes in, I'll just read a quick message here, which is from Farida Mawit, who says, sorry, I have to go, but interesting topic. My take is that the kids embarrassed themselves in the process, thinking they were doing it to the dad. The kids' upbringing seems to be in question here as well from their language. However much you are angry, you don't speak to your parent like that. The mom should not have allowed them to record or talk to their dad in such a manner. On the other hand, the consequences of cheating always lead to such circumstances. From the kids' voices, the dad has been doing this for such a long time. Rashida, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the conversation.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There's a few issues here, clearly, from what we can see. I've made a few points here. Yes. And I think I agree with Catherine, who's just come off just now. And I think there's certain things really, do you know what they said that was the spark that lit the fire, in a sense? So, which means that actually there was more to this that led these children to literally to that's my opinion, that there's more to what just happened there than what we all, obviously social media is interpreting this and there's different perceptions from different points of people, but there must have been issues right from the word go that these children have been witnessing from way back. It could be that. And also, and I think when someone says that we should not let children sort of into the parents' business, I think they are right in a sense. I will give you a classic example, and I'm not afraid to use an example of myself.
Yes.
My son came up to me and said, Mom, what happened between you and Dad? That speaks volumes. Why? Because he hasn't got a clue. He never saw anything along the lines of disrespect, argument. So when he sees me talking to his dad, he's like, but how come these two are laughing? How come they're joking? How come they're taking me to school? How come this is happening? So he had the audacity, in a positive way, to say, Mom, what happened between you and Dad? So I think for me, that in a sense, you give your child that sort of, especially when they're younger, not to put them in that sort of predicament, to witness everything that you guys are going through as parents, because we all know that at a very young age, that's the point of when the children really take in practically everything, and that really stays embedded in from the word go.
Rashida, sometimes you find that actually where we are at, our families, that is mainly our children, either your husband and your children, are your only friends. You might find an environment where you're talking about someone was, I think it was Catherine who was saying, maybe go and speak to somebody else. I think it was Zena who was saying, go and speak to a friend and so on, but don't bring it to the child. But there are instances where you have found families, the only person they actually have, other than the culprits now in this particular instance, are the children. Where do you throw your pain? Do you go for counseling? When in that particular moment you've just seen it? Quite often, in the midst of anger, we don't think straight, and sometimes we tend to regret what has happened once we have done it. Where would you fall back to, especially when the only friends you have is your husband who is now cheated, or your children who now you're struggling with how to tell them?
Sorry, was that directed at me? Sorry.
Yes. I was just putting a scenario to you, just to sort of say, because you're saying children shouldn't be involved.
Yeah.
There are instances where, especially in the Western world where we are, you find that actually the only friends you have are your husband, or husband, then it's your wife, or your children. And now the husband is the culprit in this particular instance. Where do you run to? Who do you tell to when you cannot even confide in friends? Because sometimes this is something too personal that you wouldn't want your friends to know about.
But I think sometimes there is, and I think someone mentioned a point right at the beginning, that I think regulating yourself, or regulating anger, regulation of emotions as well. And I think there are different ways of how you can approach a subject. There's different ways of where you can approach. And I think sometimes we forget the sensitivity of children, and how the fact that they also have feelings. I think adulthood, or adults, tend to forget that children themselves have got feelings of their own, and then actually we get occupied in our own feelings, in a sense that something has just happened to you, because we all know that every something along those lines is quite painful. It's very difficult to handle. It's very difficult to sort of to sort out. But I think, in a sense, that we've gone into more of a Western country whereby everyone has got the right to say what they have. Everyone has got a right to literally voice concerns every single time, or willy-nilly. But I think what we're trying to say is, I think you get a moment where you can sit down with a person and say, is what I've had true? Is that the reality of where are we heading? I think if we don't get into a situation of sitting down and discussing things through, and I know one would say it's easier said than done, but I think sometimes there's got to be a forum whereby people are learning that actually there's ways, if we can protect our children from not hearing all that, because what is being done from that family is quite drastic, in a sense that this is going to be history for them. It will never be forgotten.
Sophia, do you agree with Rashida? Speak to Rashida. Do you agree with
Yes, I do agree with Rashida. Yeah, thank you for this lovely program. First and foremost, who speaks to their dad like that? However much he's done, I want to kill you, effing the dad, and the way they were sitting, they're so disrespectful. When I watched this video, I was so upset, and I felt like, oh God, if I was near these kids.
Is that the kids' problem, though, Sophia? Does that not speak about the parents? Then the parents,
it's like there is privacy. We have to respect people's privacy. How could they go in their daddy's phone? Does he go in their phones and checks for things? That is so disrespectful, because however much he cheated, I could say people will say, oh, this what he did wrong, but they can sort it between themselves, the mom and the dad. They didn't have I don't know why even they got involved. And the mom was just sitting there saying nothing as these girls are swearing at their dad. I felt the dad was defenseless for him. He sat there in denial, and they're reading all his message. You need privacy in anything. However much you separate, or there is a cheating scandal, deal with it privately, you husband and wife, but don't involve these kids, young or old, because the emotions take over, and I know they will never love their dad, because she was saying, I want to kill you, and he's pointing in the dad. Can you imagine? These are the kids who go out there and get a gun and shoot the dad. Because of what? This is your dad, and you only have one dad.
Sophia and Rashida, on this particular point, I think someone raises a point. I think it's says, you can't hide the lifeless marriage from kids. Just explain to them and try to learn how to deal with it. Rashida, how would you handle this? And then come to Sophia.
To be honest, I think for me, I feel that point speaks volumes. And I think we're in a society where we can't agree on when something is failing. And I think we try and sort of hide behind the pain. But the pain that you're hiding behind is so transparent to your children.
That you are the only one who is not seeing it. Rashida,
so what did you say?
No, I'm saying so you sort of cut out. You're saying you cannot hide it from your children. The line seems to break out.
So I was going to say that we live in a situation whereby every emotion that you're putting behind your face is actually transparent to kids, is actually transparent out there. And I think we don't realize. I work in my type of job sees so many broken families, so many broken children, but a lot of it, I wish I could give examples, otherwise we'll be here all day, but a lot of it has stemmed from childhood. A lot of it, 3/4 of it has stemmed from childhood. Why is that? Is because where people have stayed in a relationship, where people have been subject to so many violence, to so many things that are happening. And actually, in a long run, it's the children who are being witnesses to all that. And I think we're not saying that every relationship should subject to, but I think there should be some sort of amicability. Things should be amicable in a sense where children are involved, that people should be in an understanding. Because like I said before, that one can say it's easier said than done. But I'm telling you, I think lately we're doing more harm than good to the generation of what we're going through right now.
Right. So, Sophia, your take on that? You can't hide a lifeless marriage. And then I can see Ajat Sarah, your hand is up, Isa Makumbi, your hand is up, and so is then I'll be coming to you. Sophia, on this one, you can't hide a lifeless marriage from kids. Just explain to them and try to learn how to deal with it.
Yes, I think people can deal with this in a different way. You can talk to your friends, the ones you trust. Anyway, don't go telling everybody. That's another thing. But because I am talking from experience, however much you separate with somebody, they're still the father to your child or they're the parents to this child. Don't involve the children, because the children will really hang on this and they will hate their parents forever. Me, I don't mind using myself as an example. I separated with my husband a few years ago, but my kid, he found out after maybe a year, and he was like, he saw the dad, we are parenting together, he moved out and everything, but it affected him even when we are not arguing, that he went to school and his performance was going down. But can you imagine this, if you stay in a toxic relationship or a relationship whereby you're not even going, even if you do what, you're not moving anywhere, it doesn't help. Just if you think it's over and you feel like, no, I can't stay in this relationship, just, it's not a crime. You just have to get out, because you're not happy. Another person too is not happy. So together you're in this toxic relationship. In the end, this is what happens. Because if I'd said with my ex, this is what is going to happen, and my child would be like getting angry with the dad and that, but I wouldn't let him start attacking the dad like that. But what we need to know, that if you see that relationship is not going anywhere, don't try your best, because however much you try, sometimes it's failed already and this person doesn't want to stay with you anymore. So he moved on, I moved on, and everyone is happy. So that's what I advise everybody.
Thank you very much, Sophia.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Fantastic submission there. 5 minutes to 9 o'clock in the United Kingdom. So many hands coming up, meaning it's a heated one. I'll bring in one man to balance it a little bit, and then I'll come to Ajat Sarah. Isa Makumbi, keep it sweet and short, please, so that we can fit in as more people as possible. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much. You've been hearing all the heated arguments surrounding this particular situation. Very emotional.
It is very
just to say thank you very much for all those who have joined us. I can see actually we have people from all over the world. I've seen friends from Sweden joining, United States already here, UK here, Uganda as late as it is, and people are on the Netherlands, United Arab Emirates, all over. And thank you very much. We are not taking for granted your attendance into the conversation. The program is Come, Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, and we are live on 75 W Radio, live on Umma Connected, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Zoom. Isa Makumbi, you have the microphone.
Yeah, I thank you. You are putting up a very good programs, and it's becoming worldwide. Everywhere people are tuning in to this program.
Thank you very much.
For the good work done.
Thank you.
Yeah, and keep up.
I mean,
usually I've seen that story which is going around. I've got some families that I know, they are in the same problem. But the problem starts the way you are bringing up your children. It doesn't start in one day. That the thing is just continuous. If the children are growing up, you should set up the boundaries from the beginning. Yeah, and they have to be head of the family, and you have to have the conduct of how people behave, especially children, if anything concerns the parents. For me, I've got an idea. The thing is, if she's my wife, it's none of your business to interfere.
Yes.
And I usually ask my wife, if there's anything between me and you, we should never discuss with the child or with the children, because it brings up ill feelings and they start taking sides.
But Isa, the children are seeing what is happening. Remember, we are in very confined spaces here. How do you communicate this in a manner that allows communication to exist within the family?
If in that scenario, the first word I should have told them, get out of my house and get married. Then you make up your own laws, but you can't make laws in my house. That's one point. But the thing is, children should know the boundaries. When the children usually want to interfere in the parent's life, want to know each and everything to decide. But when they get gray area and they get married, they'll dump you and live in a horrible, miserable life. So the only thing is, it might be bad, but you have to learn how to handle it in quiet room between the four walls in your bedroom. Not get the children involved in those matters.
Barakallahu fikum, Isa. We are still keeping the conversation going, so I'll just open up the mic so we can bring in more people into that.
And that one usually is the mom who's encouraging it. She pretends doesn't know what's going on.
The mom who's encouraging. She seemed like she wasn't aware.
No. She pretends. But she has been coaching and telling them what to tell you or come and confront you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Makumbi. Anonymous here is saying, however unfortunate this situation is, it's a good example of what happens when couples stay together for the sake of children, all the while doing more harm than good. Ajat Sarah, you have the microphone. Isa, thank you very much. Of course, this is an ongoing conversation, so you can come back in at any point in time. So many hands, which means it's starting a call with so many of you. Ajat Sarah, you have the mic. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's been a while and welcome to the conversation.
Hey, you said the same thing last week, didn't you?
Yes.
I think you just missed me.
Whenever you are around, I think it is felt. And now, yes, I can.
Oh, I'm so happy to be noticed.
I mean,
what I'm going to say, I really think children shouldn't be involved into their parents' marital affairs. When I look at us, when we're growing up, most families, or some of us who are of this age, have come from families where most fathers used to have relationship outside their wedlock, and they fathered lots of children, but we never disrespected our fathers. And I don't remember at any point of hearing of any family where any child ever confronted the father having had a mana haram, like we call them.
Yes.
So they kept their respect, and it was none of our business. So I think these children are fighting a battle which is not their battle. I'm not saying whatever the dad did was right, but this is invading their father's privacy. Mothers have a tendency of telling children things that are really not good about their fathers, and yet men never say anything because they allow that the woman has the children most of the time. They take that advantage and They always use the children to fight their battles, which is not right. And they end up damaging them. Because if a child is brought up in a relationship whereby there are struggles, constant struggles, it might be very difficult for them to form relationships when they grow up, or even be interested in getting married, because they don't see anything good in marriage. So I think it's really very damaging to get children involved. And also, these children, I think they are really bad-mannered, because the words they're using, you wouldn't even want anyone saying such things on the street if they met a stranger, let alone someone talking to their dad. They're not even talking to their dad. They're shouting at their dad.
Yeah.
It's not talking. I don't even, when I look at them, I would suspect that they may also be having boyfriends, because it's the norm in the Western world. Yes. But who gave them the authority to do that? So, yeah, who gave them the authority? Because you don't expect it.
There's a question here from Catherine which I would like you to respond to.
Your voice is so faint as usual, Mr. KK.
Oh, really?
It's really
I can
hard
hear myself so loudly. Well, I'll say again.
Yeah, well, now you're there, but sometimes you remember when you get excited.
It was a question from Catherine Sadi, who says, I would just like to ask if you have any boundaries in your home and what those boundaries are. Do you have any boundaries you used to have?
Well, I do have my boundaries. One, I wouldn't let my children disrespect me or their father. Yeah, and they would never get into my handbag or my phone or their father's handbag or wallet. Mm-hmm. You do not, there's some privacy in the house. Everyone has, I wouldn't go into my child's bag and start fishing stuff, or even their bedroom without them knowing I'd go there to their bedroom, because that's where it starts.
I've struggled sometimes, I get Sarah, when my wife is, telling me to go into her handbag and pick up something. I struggle. Yeah. I'll just go and bring the entire handbag. And the complaint is you could just have, got in and just got it. But for me, the upbringing is such that, that is sort of
someone's private thing. You can't go into
a sacred place of sorts. But I'm also trying through that to communicate something, to say, if I can't touch in yours, don't touch in mine.
And that's how it should be. Look, we bring up these children, but when we give them bedrooms and they are mature, like if they get to an age or like they are in their teens, you cannot just walk into their bedroom, because you may find there may be they're not well properly dressed, or they are doing their own private thing because their bedroom, you knock. So you have to try and show them that we have to respect each other. I don't expect my child to just come in and open my bedroom. I expect them to knock. Little things like that.
In response to today's question, Hajat Sarah, what would you say is the role? Where should children be? Do they not have any place at all in marital affairs?
Actually, there are certain things you can discuss with children. Like if it's something to do with finance that directly concerns them, if they have to do something about it, like if you're trying to ratio on stuff, like you are struggling with money and you don't want them to misuse stuff in the house, you can speak to them. Things that they can work on, to help the family. So how are they getting, if you get them involved in an extramarital affair, how are they going to help you if you can't handle it yourself?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah. Jaden, I open the mic to you now. 4 minutes past 9 o'clock in the United Kingdom. And remember, even if you have spoken, the microphone is still available. So we'll be coming to you at any point in time. The conversation is getting much more exciting. So it's Jaden, then to Hajat, then Umma Connect, then Ramzi, then Ismail Musoke, in that order. Jaden, welcome to the conversation. Let's talk with me, Kassim Kayira, at 4 minutes past 9 o'clock. Your take. What should be the place of children in this? First of all, your own reaction looking at this particular video.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is the stuff of life. This is something which is very heavy. And I believe we are parents watching this video. We've got our own kids watching this video. And what has transpired is truly and truly disturbing, because we come from Africa to begin with, and we come from our individual tribes and individual clans. And you don't see such things. Where I was growing, children are not meant to be heard. They are meant to be seen. And for us to witness this kind of behavior just because we have come to the West, where we believe everything that they do is right or everything that they do is useful, it's very disturbing. And I hope our children are listening to this. I hope those young couples who are just beginning their journey in marriage are listening to this, because children are a sponge. You know that sponge that you use for washing the car, or washing plates, or some people use it for bathing? They are very good at taking in stuff. Whatever you throw at children, they will take it in. Whatever rubbish, whatever dirt, whatever what, they will take it in. But unfortunately, they are not very good at containing whatever they take in. And this is what we have seen coming out with these children. So they have learned these behaviors from somewhere. There's social media, we can't leave that out. There's schools, there's the streets, but we can't leave the mom out, because children spend most of their living life with their mom, not by design, but it's the way nature has created it. People will grow up, boys, girls, whatever they want to call themselves, they will spend most of their early life with their mother. And that is the time they pick up stuff. So that mother must have pumped, knowingly or unknowingly, all that information into those kids. But that's having been said, it's a learning lesson. We can't change what has happened. What we can change is how we bring our own children. Mine are 20 nearly, and to me, they're still children. What happens between the four walls, when I talk of the four walls, that's our bedroom, it doesn't go out of those walls. And the language that we use, I might swear out at work, I might swear out in the streets, but the language that we use in our homes should be refined, because they will pick it. You can see how one of the daughters is just throwing words. I can't repeat those words here, because you just don't throw those words at that age. But you must have picked it from somewhere. She's comfortable with it.
Yes.
Both your parents are there, and you just don't throw such heavy words at your dad. And I may be wrong, but their dad must have played a big part in taking them to where.
I would actually think so, actually, allowing that, and listen to that, even in the worst of situations. I mean, being caught, it's one thing to be caught. When you are caught, there's something about it. Even the strongest thief, once caught, there is a kind of weakness that just overpowers you, overcomes you once you're in the wrong. And in this circumstance, probably that would have come in. But it would never really narrow down to this particular sort of language that is used. The way it is thrown around shows there has been a sort of a trend of disrespect sort of growing up.
Exactly. And I feel the pain that man is going through, because you can tell he's suffering emotional pain, and he's also got physical pain. He couldn't raise his hands, because
and these girls could actually beat him. From the look of it, they could just grab a knife and get rid of him. He was in a corner, it's not next to the door, they are where the door is, and the way they're shouting and standing, and they're just a sort of a pack of lionesses coming to hand, and you could just hear from the voices, and the mother doesn't seem to help.
And it's not because he's weak, and it's not because of what he's done. It's because of the behaviors of his daughters.
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Jaden, towards the end of this program, I'll play you a clip of what happened thereafter. And you might change your mind in terms of what you just say. Thank you very much. Then stay on. The program is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira. It's 9 minutes past 9 o'clock. We are live on 75 W Radio. We are live on Umma Connected. We are live on Facebook, on Zoom, and on YouTube, where we are streaming at the moment. Hajat, I come to you, and then I'll go to Umma Connect. Hajat, you have the mic. Hello, Hajat. Yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Banaye mwebale program, alhamdulillah. Muliro gwaka. But I'm sorry to say, mazima gali nti, most of the time, kijja kunyiza abawulira, naye I have to say it. Bamaama ekintu ekyo ffe tusinga okukiteekamu omuliro. Tugenda ne tukola ensobi olw'okuba abaami batusinza amaanyi, balina ebiwago binene, bwakuba ekikondo ogweri. N'onoonya ekinaamuluma naye kimugigiremu nga ensolosozi. N'ogamba kankwate ku baana bano ajja kinnyonnyoka. Omwana buli kyaba alabanga, gwe buli kyolabanga taata akikoze, abaana n'okibagamba. Kakati abaana ebigambo ebiva mu bamaama ffe tubayonsa batuwulira nnyo kuba already we are part of them. Amabeere gava mu ffe ne baganywa ne gabakuza. Kati mu kyo omwana n'akulanga mpola ate naddala guno omulembe kubanga Kayira we wakulira we nakulira nga n'entebe ya taata eyawuka, ekikopo kya taata kyawuka. Taata tasobola bwe tuba tugenda okuyingira mu kisenge, maama nsaba kuyingira, kamuyini taata nsaba kuyingira. Naye this time taata abeera mu kisenge nga ne maama ali mu kisenge nga n'omwana w'emyaka 13 ayingira buyingiza ati
bumps into the bedroom. Yes.
Never mind oba abazadde bali bwereere oba olaba twakulanga ne underwear z'abataata ne maama tosobola nagirabako.
Yes, absolutely.
Tutandikire eyo bwe tuba twagala okulongoosa ffe abaffe kiki tubatendese. Omwana nabeeranga wa myaka 6. Omwana wa myaka 6 ategeera buli kyokola. Bamaama naye basa omwana oyo makati g'ekitanda kuba yanyize ne taata tayagala amukwateko ekiro n'amusimba mu makkati awo. Kwegamba ebyo ebintu bye tukola. Respect ffe mu myaka n'okubanga tulinga bwe tuli yavanga obuliri bw'abataata. Kwegamba respect eri gye twalina bageranga ne bakutuma butumi mu kisenge
bakutuma mu kisenge naye nga totunula na wantu gye bakutumye gy'otunula wokka n'ojjayo ekyo gyeyandi olwana.
Ojjukira we bagulira egyo emifaliso egya vono ng'oyagala ogenda ogugweko n'ogweko omulundi gumu ate n'odduka kuba tebakulaba. Okitegeera that respect eyo singa ddala abaana baffe gye tubakuziza nayo. Naye ffe tulina ebizibu 3. Number 1 tugeya nnyo. N'oyogera ku Kayira naye nga abaana bo bonna batudde awo bali ku kompyuta beefulambo bali ku kompyuta. Naye Kayira omusensula naye olunaku lw'anayingira ewaka n'olyoka omusimba hage yakula neewola. Naye ng'abaana by'obadde omwogerako byonna babimanyi era bamutunulira bamulengeza. Kati respect ereesa obuzibu. Kati mu kyo n'obawo n'ekizibu ekirala kye twafunye. Bwe tutabuka maama ne taata, alhamdulillah bannange obusiraamu bwatuta. Waliwo mami avudde ku mukutu awo ageze n'agamba nti nayawukana n'omwami wange naye tuli bulungi, abaana tujja bakuza bulungi. Weebale kukola ekyo. Abakyala abasinga kye tutakola. Otabuse ne taata ne mutabuka temukyali ba mukwano. Kyokka oli kukiwoza mbu njagala abaana bange nkole nga bali ne taata. Wallahi abaana odamaginga badamaginze kubanga abaana bagenda kufuna ttuma, mwevuma buli kaseera mwerangira, abaana bagenda okukula nga bye balaba. Kati ddala kiki kyoga nti okuziza abaana maama ne taata nga tobadamaginga. So nga ate bwe muba mweyawudde abaana ebyo tebajja kubiraba. Muyombera mu maaso g'abaana.
For those of our listeners who don't understand Uganda, I've seen people from Sweden, I've seen some Kenyans on here. Allow me just to translate very, very quickly as you continue your conversation. I just find us here simply saying the boundaries. I think it's the whole issue about boundaries, the way we raise our children. Growing up as young people, I've seen Lioness Africa from all the way from Sweden. Karibu sana Lioness kwenye kipindi hiki. And Hajat Faida is saying the issue that used to happen, we would be sent into our parents' bedroom, we would just actually be going so carefully, not to look anywhere else. Where they have sent is where you specifically go. Go in and come out. And that made a huge difference in terms of how we were brought up. The respect, they used to be Kikombe Jababa, there's a cup, dad's plate, mom's plate, mom's cup. Dad's whatever, and you never play with that. You go into homes and every kid will just sit in every seat, eat on every plate. There's nothing. And the moment that barrier, that boundary was broken, this is the problem that we are now beginning to nurse. Hajat Faida, you can go ahead, please. Oh, but also very importantly, Hajat Faida says the parents, the mothers, using children as weapons. I think somebody else had raised it here as a point. That was Abu Fahima, who says wives are more willing to use their kids against their dads if compared to the husbands. So definitely Hajat Faida is pushing this idea that women, mothers, because they spend a lot more time with the children, they use that now as a defense mechanism to harm the fathers. And that is very unfortunate in that perspective. Yes, Hajat, one more point and then we'll go to Ummah Connect. We still have.
So I think gye tuba tutandikira abaana twawule maama bw'oba olina ekizibu kyo kigamba omwami wo, abaana baleme kukimanya kuba abaana bajja kukyawa taata waabwe. Taata bw'oba olina ekizibu kyo leka kukikubawo ng'abaana bawulira, maama bajja mutwala bubi. Tubeere nga tugezaako ate n'okwogera n'abaana baffe. Naye bwe weera nga kiganye mu kweyeta kuno abaana mu bakuze bulungi, kijja bayambako nnyo okusinga okusigala awamu nga temulumagana. Abaana ne mubakuliza mu eyo environment ey'obulumi. Abaana ate nabo bwe banaakula ate bajja ku abusinga bakazi baabwe bwe baba basajja. Bwe baba bakyala nabo bagenda kugenda mu marriages nabo nga kuba bye bakuze balaba. Charity begins at home. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. And as I bring in Ummah Connected, there's a point here from Learners Africa, all the way from Sweden. Like I said, thank you very much for joining us. It's a very important topic. I do not support children engaging in their parents' affairs. They will have their space when they grow up and deal with their own marital issues. In that video, they lost respect. In fact, they should apologize to their father. Lots of comments coming in, and I'll read them as they come through. Ummah Connected, you have the mic, and then on to Ramzi, and then Ismail Musoke, and back to Isa Makubi and Jaden again.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. You must be planning as well.
Kamo.
Marhaba, hujambo.
Keke.
Yes, please.
I just want to flip the coin to you. I want to ask you a question and the audience.
Yes.
If it was the woman cheating, how do you think these children would have reacted? These girls, because I don't know. Is it that if men cheat, it's so bad? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, that's definitely one area that we can explore. Fantastic one. Good to consider this very seriously. How differently would they have treated this? Yes.
Exactly. Keke, the one thing that I've done, I've told my children, I've told my wife. My wife doesn't touch my phone. I don't touch her phone. The kids can play with their mother's phone however they want. They don't touch my phone. You don't. That's a no-go zone.
Yes.
If you see Keke calling me, you can give it to me. That's it. That's all you can do. You don't touch my stuff. There's a line which parents should draw a line. Mothers don't draw lines. Mothers, I don't know. I even asked my friend the other time, why do you mothers behave the way you behave? You spoil children. Yeah, you this excessive love, and you have to draw a line. You are a parent. When when kids, especially girls and boys as well. For me, I have girls. When they get to teenagers, they start, talking to their mother as they like. Why? Because she's been so lenient and tolerant to, and okay, you can love them, but to what extent?
So Shehzaid, someone asks here, should we assume that you have something to hide in that phone that is a minefield that shouldn't be touched?
Keke, let me tell you and the audience.
You haven't answered the question, Ustaz Zaid.
Let me tell you, and the audience, KK.
Yes.
And the njagala nyo reality, KK. Yeah. 80% of men have stuff in their phone. 80%, if not 90%.
Right.
Believe it or not, you want to believe it. You want it. They have stuff in their phone. What he did, 80% of the men do. Yeah. So I can't hide.
But how comes? No. That's it. How comes? It looks like the story has been flipped. Nobody's talking about infidelity. Everybody now has gone about now the upbringing of the children. The subject matter, the real reason as to why even this conversation happened, like in the family, not this particular one, was about cheating, was about infidelity. It has been lost.
Is the pastor
the
ready?
delay of the surrounding other aspects that have come in.
Okay, let's just go to my question. If it was the mother cheating,
yes,
how do you think the children would have reacted?
Fantastic. Let me start with you then. How would you have reacted? And then I'll take it to Ramzi Kojo to take us into that. How would you how do you think they would have reacted?
I don't think they can insult their mother the way they insulted their father. I think they love their mother more than they love their father. They respect their mother more than they respect their father. And according to me, the research I did, the father is a very loving father. Yeah? But I don't know why these kids, maybe they take his kindness. Yeah? They mistaken his kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why you saw him sipping his tea. Yeah. He knows the next step.
You remember what has happened in social media with that particular clip of him sipping on the tea, and they say whatever happens, make sure to hydrate.
You can talk whatever you want, but yes. I know what I'm going to do.
Fantastic. Okay, let me bring in Ramzi now to answer your question then. Ramzi, question to you. Fantastic, Zaid. Thank you very much. Ramzi, you have the microphone, and then I'll come to Ismail Musoke, and then go to the people who haven't spoken. I'll give priority to people who haven't spoken. Go ahead. Ramzi, let's start with Zaid's question. We'll start Zaid's question, which is, if it was the mother who had cheated, do you think the tables would have turned? Would the conversation be slightly different? Would they keep it a secret, probably?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome.
Thank you. So to respond to your question, if the tables had been flipped,
I
would think that those kids would have reacted differently. Very differently from what they reacted when the dad messed up.
Really? Much more angrily or much more accepting?
No, they'll be calm. They'll try to hide that.
Right.
They'll be more discreet about it. They'll not disgrace their mom as much as they disgrace their dad. That's my opinion. But that's besides the point. The issue is these kids are way out of line. They're way out of line. All parents need to draw a boundary with all their kids. And this has to start from jump. When these kids are little, there has to be no fly zone set from right when these kids are like 2 years old. There has to be a sense of privacy established at every level. This is dad's corner, mom's corner. You don't get in here. You don't do this and that. And also their choice of words, that was so appalling. I was disturbed by just listening to the little girl. If she had been close to me, I would have called one of my grannies to get a switch with that little girl. I'm like, boy, I got to need some discipline.
You could easily have gone to jail or
the gentleman. I got to applaud the gentleman for being so patient.
Yeah.
I think we need to pray for the family and pray for our families to be protected from such behavior.
So Ramzi, stuff happens. Put yourself in this particular scenario, God forbid, but I mean, you end up, Zaid is saying 80%, nearly 90% of men will have some stuff on the phone. Phone stuff ends up in the open, and then you are in serious trouble. How do you think this could have been handled? Put yourself in that kind of scenario and probably see how else it could have played out.
Well, it should have just been handled between the wife and husband. The kids should not have been part of it. It all goes back to setting boundaries. The kids should not be involved into adult affairs. Adults have to handle their business. Like one of the previous speakers talked about having the four corners. You get in there and talk things out. If you need to seek counseling, do that.
You know,
but
Ramsey,
involving your kids is very damaging to the entire family.
I listened to this, but Ramsey, there is a problem. Growing up where we grew up in Africa, you would have your rooms actually built nearly of concrete. You could hardly hear what was going on in the next room. We are in plastered, boarded rooms where nearly everything really transpires in the midst of our ears. We sort of hear the walls here talk. How would we now narrow down and say whatever happens between those four walls stays there when we have flies on the walls of each other?
So when we talk about four walls, they don't necessarily have to be within the house. You take your wife out on a date, hash it out, go out, do something, go on a walk, talk it out. But whatever you do, keep your kids out of it. And this is going to happen in life. We're bound to be tested every now and then, but solve your issues with your spouse without involving your kids.
This is a plea to the ladies out there, whatever the anger, and a plea to the men as well. In case of any anger, please go away, allow yourself to be taken on a holiday and discuss these problems there. That might be a much better way than putting the children through all the traumatic experiences. Lots of messages in the chat room, it's on fire. Ramsey, allow me just to move to the next person simply because of time, because we have a lot and you can come back at any point in the conversation. So thank you very much for that submission. Ismail Musoke, I come to you and allow me as you come in, just to read a few of the messages. The chat room is on fire and the program is Come. Let's talk with me, Kassim Kayira, reminding you that we are live on 75 W Radio, live on Ummah Connected, on Zoom, on Facebook, and on YouTube where we are streaming live. Farida says at that moment, the man knew there was nothing else to do. They found out, period, in capital letters. Wow. Farida still says our African men talking about taking wives for a walk or date, you must be joking. Well, Ramsey, that's a challenge to the very point you have raised, but why not? We shall interrogate it with Ismail Musoke coming in. Chantal says could be the marriage ended long time ago and they were shocked to see that he got someone. Well, maybe that came in. Uma Connected says our fathers used to come home and say to our mothers, Hajati twaza deo mwana. No, actually, we had a very interesting case with my uncle. Women used to bring children, but the way they would bring the children would be very funny. My uncle used to be a herbalist. Well, it's in the family, we are all herbalists. So a lady would coming to see the sheikh in the room there for treatment. Najana Kana tells the kid now, woman again was no. And that would be a very, very interesting way of introducing the child into the family. They would just say, Gedos and never know. But Gedos and never know, mother goes in, talks about her problems. She's given some money, even some herbs or herbal medicine for whatever her ailment was. Mother walks out comfortably as if she didn't bring even a child. I can't remember. I counted 6, 7 children who are brought in that sense. And the way it would happen would be very interesting because once the mother left, of course, the child, quite often, there would be about 3, 4, 5-year-olds, and therefore the pain would be too much. They would be confused. But then we had about 28. Actually, at any sitting at home, we were 33. So, of 33 people, and then everybody has to come in to say, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, 33 Alhamdulillahs. And dad is sat on the table there, Amina. And then the mother, one of the 2 mothers that would have been responsible for the kitchen, Alhamdulillah, Rabbi Amina, Amina. 33 now times 3 times because it has to go to dad, goes to the mom, goes to second mom, and the children will just be brought into the home that way. So things are actually different now, of course, but we need to pick from our cultures and see what can and shouldn't work. Ismail Musoke, you have the microphone. I was just trying to read through some of them.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the conversation.
How?
Alhamdulillah, we're good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Yeah, the discussion has been very good. I came up with 3 points generally. The first point is in regards to this specific case, we're not clear in regards to the specifics. So we can this happened or that happened. We don't have a clear picture of exactly what happened. We can only just judge by the video. And we don't know the ins and outs of the situation. So that's why I wanted to focus more on the issues that arise from the discussion that's been going on the internet and everything, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's where we are at, looking at actually the place of children when
yeah. So the first thing I'll say, my paradigm is coming from an Islamic perspective, and I'll say that, as Islam, it does not condone, infidelity and fornication and things like this. So that's very clear, I think, from our perspective, and I think that's important point to make. But I think for myself, as someone who's grown up here in this country, and I've lived in Uganda as well, so I've seen both sides. My question is what happened to our values? Many of our parents and we have but it seems like something happened on the journey of leaving Uganda to come over here. Something happened in between, because the children that are coming out of the diaspora, unfortunately, are, we're seeing these things. And by the way, this is not even something that is uncommon, Sheikh Kayira. Someone who's involved in the community, the stories and things that are happening. The values, the traditional values that we had back home, unfortunately, they haven't been carried over here. Now, what I would say is it's difficult to raise children in diaspora, whether it's US, UK, Sweden, wherever you are. It's difficult, full stop. Kubanga, you have so many things you're fighting against. System is difficult, the school, the government, and these different systems that make authority over your children. So many parents are already stuck. Now, if you add on a situation where you're in a marriage, maybe where wife has a bit more authority for whatever reason, maybe because she's providing or just because she has control over the kids, then maybe it's going to be very, very difficult. So I think for us, it's about returning back to our values, to our traditional values, where first of all, our deen, our faith, and also our cultural values, instilling them, which people have discussed already throughout the session, and instilling those morals and values in our children. And then after that, it's bringing the village together. Kobanga, it takes a village to raise a child. You can't do it by yourself. And the problem is, Sheikh Kayira, is that so many of us are isolated. Especially here in the UK, you live in your 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom flat. It's just you and your wife and your children. But we should try and come together as a community to support each other and to raise these children, because it takes a village. My children may learn something from my brother, from my sister, from someone else that they might not learn from me. But we have to work as a team. And that's how we're going to start working towards raising, the next generation. Also, finally, is to lead by example, because however much we sit down and we talk to them, it's about they're looking at your actions and they're looking at your example. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what the children are going to take and be inspired by. So,
thank you very much. Barakallahu fikum. I'm trying. I've seen hands. Issa Makumbi, I can see you are there. Baden, but I've seen people who have not come in. Please allow me. I'll just go to these 2 people who have not been. I think it was Aha, and then Aha has disappeared now. But there is Imam Bukenya, who I'll go to, and then I start coming back to you now to have this conversation. I think that is brilliant. It's just getting more interesting the deeper we go. While we are at it, I think I'd like us to be thinking now, because it's 33 minutes past 9 o'clock, 27 minutes to the top of the hour, thinking about the way forward. Because if we look inside this family in terms of what happened, raises so many questions around, the upbringing. And while everybody's sort of saying this family was not brought up well, there are particular pressures that are bringing situations inside our homes that make it difficult even to bring up the discipline. While you might want to be as tough as you want, some of the conditions surrounding our environment are such that they make some of these things difficult. Could we take our children back home a little bit and then be able to bring them here? Or is it possible that even within the environments that we are in, we are still able to deliver on that? Imam Bukenya, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good to have you. Welcome. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. Well, interesting conversation. I'm just moving in my chair now. I can't even allow myself, like Hajat Sar, I would say that I keep moving in the chair and I'm excited. You cannot not get excited in a conversation that is where we are at now. Now, your own take.
Alhamdulillah. I thank you, brother Kayira, and the host, and all the brothers and sisters. I can see this is very exciting, because at this juncture we have 72, but we don't even know who are on the other platforms who are listening in. Yes. But alhamdulillah, this is very interesting. But for me, when I saw that video, I checked myself and I checked to see my surrounding. Who are the people around me?
Oh, I thought you checked your surrounding inside your phone.
No, I checked my surrounding, who is around me.
Yes.
So I realized I'm the dad, and I have my children and my wife and people. Then I started questioning myself: are these my friends, or they're not my friends? As I was speaking to my wife today, I told her, you know what? I think we have an issue. In this identity, we have identity crisis in the whole world.
Yes.
And when you lose your identity, then you start confusing yourself to other people's identity. And we can go on and on with identity crisis. Nowadays, we don't even know, parents don't know who they are. You find parents, they are patterning, they are becoming friends of their kids. You find a husband, says my wife is my friend. Yeah, that's fine, but there's a problem. Your wife is your wife, your friend is your friend, your kids are your kids. Your kids cannot be your friends. Tosobola gamba nti mchala wange mukwano gwange. Noita n'omukyala omulala n'omuyita mukwano gwo. Mukyala wo munno. Oli omulala gwe mukola naye mukwano gwo. So, tukwata abaana ne tubateeka mu nju ne tunyumya nabo nga brother avudde okwogera. Then we start talking as if these kids are our friends. Then with your wife, you treat your wife as if your wife is actually your friend. But our wives are not our friends. If you think deep, they're not our friends. So there are limits that we need to build with our children. Look at the girls, the way they were sitting, the way they were talking. They were talking and they were sitting and they were dressing with their buddies, with their friends, because that is the way the family is structured. So they are not worried about, hey, muzeyi bwasituka wasobola okukuba oluyi ne bakulaba ng'ogudde. No, there was no fear.
Yes.
Muzeyi
so one of them even threatened, Dad, I can kill you.
No, the girl said, we'll show you. We can even kill you. The
And
girl said, we can even kill you.
Gathering around, they were getting so close. I was getting worried actually watching the video.
So we have no limits. Some of us, the men, we have become really
useless.
So bad. We want to please our wives, and then we go so low nti n'ekitiibwa ky'atale tekyaliwo. Omusajja yatugamba nti omwami ennaku zino takyasobola kusaba mutu gwa kyennyanja kubanga si gwe wakiguze. So if you lose control of your family and then you call everybody in your family, you're supposed to be a leader, now you are becoming your buddies. So they have freedom to go pick your phone, to go use your cup, to go use your plate, to go sit in your chair. So you're no longer atudde mu nsonda bamwetoolodde. So nze briefly mikono mingi njiraba naye tunoonye nga nze nkitwala ku basajja nti tunoonye our manhood back again.
Yes.
Our manhood back again. Tuleme kuwoza n'owooza kino n'owooza kiri inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun.
Thank you very much, Imam. Barakallahu fikum. Leopard, I'm coming to you, and then I'll go in order now. Isa Makumbi, Jaden, and Leopard, your hand has been up, and you are in the dark. I can see actually looking like a leopard where you are at. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
barakatuh. Now you've been listening to this conversation now. Let's hear your own take. Are you as angry as other people have been showing their anger?
You see, this I might blame. I know the family. This is the first thing. They are really connected to me.
Don't mention their names. Yes, please.
No, I want to mention their name. That's a part of my family. So the thing is, what I can see, it's the way how we should blame dad and the mom.
Right.
And I should blame the dad. You see, you shouldn't leave what your culture is. What we have done here in Newcastle, we have been having those type of programs with such a family here, and they come and take the children. We try to force to fight. I myself am the leader here. I did it. I went and fought about the way how we have to treat our children, the way how we back, because this is not how the children should be treated, the way how they want. Because most of the cases, they have been taking away these children. And then I stand and said, this is not the way. We should try and train our children. It is we. If we stand, if you guys down there, you stand on your two legs and say that we have our culture, we cannot lose our culture. With this, the way how we discipline them, people, you'll go with your discipline. But once you don't put stand, the problem is the government which forces you to follow the law. Yes, everybody should follow the law, but there's a family law is different. I find that guy is very, very man who can take off a hand quick. But when I question him, I said, look, yeah, I've worked a lot of my life here.
Yeah.
And if I try to do anything, I'll end up in jail. I lose everything.
Yes.
And now I have to leave it because every man here is living that way, that situation. So I had to put down my hand. And because the way how the girls were sitting was not even happy. The way how the big girl was talking. And mind you, this boy, this guy, gentleman, when he went to Africa, to Ghana, he introduced this young girl to their sisters because he had that girl before, the mother of the children of two boys who were in Kampala. One girl and one boy. He introduced them, so that's why they came back. And then I think that when they went to the phone, the first girl went to the phone, and they see these people, they are still communicating. Oh, she never said she took to give the sister. Sister, that's why it's become very harsh. I don't see why this is a small girl. I mean, it was trying to kill the father. And that's the girl who was talking that they said is a best friend of the dad. That's the one. Even that's you had they said, hey, that's your friend. You see how now he's treating you. You see, so I don't see. It's for me. It's the parent to be strong.
Right. Thank you very much, Leopard. Thank you. It's fantastic. Let's just open the mic now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the submission. This is the parents. It's going the person who personally knows the family and actually got to know people who know the family as well. And the idea, it was just coming down exactly to that. It's the parents. Well, how much blame can one take? Issa Makumbi, I come to you. Please keep it short so then we can spread out. We've got 71 people, so many hands coming up, and we should allow people now to sort of have a say on what is going on. Issa Makumbi, back in, please, then to Jaden, then Catherine, and then we open wider. We'll just go to people who have spoken today.
I think that's a very, very interesting topic.
Yes, thank you.
I think the way forward is just what we need.
What's the way forward?
The way forward is just have to set the boundaries. Usually the parents, they make a mistake. You've got a house, you ask your children to contribute. As long as they contribute, they'll be starting poking their nose in all the affairs at home. So the thing is, I say, this is my house. I don't want to do with my bills. I pay my bills, me and my wife, work it out. The other thing is, I set laws in the house. When there's two young boys, I had some of them say, you get to my house, if you're leaving my house, you have to be in the house by 6 o'clock p.m. That's it. Come back at 7 o'clock, you need to show me a pay slip, and when I've been working. Other than that, in the house at 6, not more than that. And I won't let you in. They know it. You have to say the no-go areas. When I say, when it's my bedroom, or my wife's issue, that is ours. When it comes to the discipline, each of the family will decide. The mom, that's the soft part. The dad, that's the hardest part. If we are going to discipline those children, first discuss among the two, what should we do, what to be the approach? And then they know. What I said is final. What my wife says is final. I'm not challenging them before the children or try to challenge to show it up. They know that when dad says no, even much you go to mom, it will be no. If mom says no, even though you go to dad, that will be no. So they know the roles. So
now,
I think
the problem is, Issa, you can say that very comfortably because you have been a man in your house. Yeah. We have lost our manhood, and this is something that was raised, has been mentioned a couple of times.
That's what I've said.
You know, if you're not a man inside your home, if you're not buying the food, if the wife is running and paying the bills, she will have the voice.
That's what I say. You talk to your wife. If you are going to buy anything, even though she's contributing, ask her to give you the money to go to the shop with her and buy whatever you want, to show them that you are the one who's buying all the commodities at home. When it comes to like dressing and the rest, let your mom do the work to decide what they do so they know. When it comes to money, they see if I need this one, I have to go to my dad. If I need this one, I have to go to my mom. So you don't challenge them. As long as send those boundaries, they know. Fantastic. And other things, within our father's home, they have ever seen, I know your father. Have you ever seen your mama going to the shop buying things?
No.
The dad is to the shopping.
Yes.
So you know that if I play with someone who's feeding me, I'll be in trouble. Then from that, to have respect at home.
Thank you very much, Issa Makumbi. Bringing in Lioness Africa, and then I'll come to Jaden, just because Lioness is a new guest into the conversation. Lioness, karibu sana. Good to have you on.
Sana, you can hear me?
Yes. Greetings. How are you today?
I'm fine. You can hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you very, very well. Yes.
Okay. Let me greet
Just to our guests who don't know you, Lioness Africa is a big musician up in Sweden, but she's originally Kenyan. She's big on the internet there. Joining the conversation tonight now means a lot. I think it's sort of pulled people in, coming to the conversation. Yes, Lioness, go ahead, please.
Yes, I think I was drawn. I saw the topic and I said, okay, let me come in and see what is happening. So thank you so much, my brother Kassim, for bringing this up. I saw the video too, and it was very, very sad to see these children, go against their father in this way publicly, even recording it and posting it on the internet. I just wanted to. I've listened to different views about the video, and I think I need to make people understand that we here, parents in diaspora, we fight against another culture that feeds our young people with so many things that this is the outcome now. Yeah, as much as we try to teach them our culture, our tradition, the way to respect our elders, the way we were brought up, we are fighting against a very, very big culture that because we are here, our children are going to school here, whatever they're being fed in their heads over there outside, when they come in the house, it becomes very difficult for us to control these children. I will tell you, I'm a mother and I am facing it, So that video, if you look at it, the way the girls were talking, definitely these children were fed a lot of another wisdom altogether, that they can fight, they can stand against their parents and stand and just talk about anything. It's not about even saying that men should come back and take their places, or women. If it was, somebody said, if it was the mother who cheated, it could have been a different story. No, if you look at those children, it could have been the same story. Same story. Because that shows how that kind of respect that for them in their head that they should carry, that can make them stand and talk with their parents in that manner. Yeah. So
Lennis, what do you think should be the way forward? How do we go forward? How do we go from here? Seeing what we have seen now, and it's many homes. Actually, this was really a microcosm. It was a depiction of so much of what is happening in other homes. It hasn't burst out to go online and to social media, but a lot of homes are sitting on time bombs in scenarios.
Exactly.
How do we capture this back?
We have to go back to our drawing board, and we are trying. I've seen a lot of communities around diaspora, UK, London, USA, Sweden. We are trying to get these communities together and trying to empower our children in another way, so that they can understand the real empowerment for them to stand in this diaspora land. This is what we are trying to do. And that is what I try to do also on my online programs, is come up with this topic to talk about them. Yes, because everybody is hiding under this white culture and white laws, just because we need to survive, because we are here looking for greener pastures. But then again, we have our children that we need them to empower them so that they can grow, with the right mentality, both in diaspora and both back in our community back home in Africa.
Thank you very much, Africa. Thank you, Lennis. Thank you very much. Your first arrival and first contribution into the conversation. This is Come Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, a program where every topic is up for discussion. The only difference is we do it with respect, with decency. And actually, very big topic tonight. Thank you very much for everyone who has been participating. 50 minutes past 9 o'clock, 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Jadel, I'm back to you, and then I'll go to Catherine and then Becca Chi.
It's Ramla, not Jaden. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Oh, it's Ramla. Wa alaikum salam. It's good now. I've was actually almost about to say no, thinking I'm getting to someone new. I didn't know you were sharing the phone. That's the beauty of this conversation. Yes, welcome. Go ahead, please. Fire on.
Yeah, mine is a bit different to my salongo here. My main issue is the most important thing is like the way you raise your kids from childhood up to whatever age they are. If you raise them properly and they know the African way, how you talk to your parents, how you behave, and your manners are well, I don't think ahead by the time they get 18, they'll misbehave. Like that thing, it's a family problem. It came into the family. It's a family issue. It involves the mom and the dad and the kids as well. So if I keep it to myself, like between me and Jaden, these are our children. What if the same thing happens to the girls? By me explaining the situation to my kids, and then like in a polite way, they say, okay, I tell your dad has done this and done that. They see I've explained, and then in a calm way, eventually they see nothing has happened. If it happens to them, they ask, oh, mom, if this and this happened, what happened? What did you do? They get experience. But if you hide away from them, they'll not have experience. They say, oh, this thing happened to mom, but mom this and this and this. That is how it happened. But if you don't talk your issues with your children, they'll not have any experience of good and bad.
But Ramla, the point is, I think people would almost agree that there would be a sense of a way of communicating with their children about the problems, but not in a manner that sort of involves them as partners or as equals. It would be a communication in a way that allows them to understand.
The way you communicate to them and bring the problem.
Right, but not in a manner that is bringing so much detail to a brain that is still developing. You are sort of spoiling that brain the moment you pump it with such
No, you don't go to that extent, but you tell them this and this has happened, but they don't see it like a big issue. Eventually, when they grow up, is when they say, oh, mom, we remember when we were this age, this thing happened. Mommy, what did you do? But if you say you don't talk your issues with the kids, if it happens to them, they'll be lost. They'll not know how you solve that problem. That's my thinking.
Right. Thank you very much, Ramla. Here, the chat room, like I said, is just on fire here. Someone is saying to send those children to boarding school. They won't know what's going on. Farida is saying these days, as parents, we are more like friends rather than parents. Yes, and someone had raised that we are not supposed to be friends to our children. We are parents. We can be loving, but we do not have to be friends. Zena says, Singa nze nalima moyo mwana mujja kwesimu oba nenzijjawo omwami. Well, the children could even have eaten you alive. Catherine Sally, please come in again, and then we'll go to Becca Chiyinji as we try to wrap up. I can see Bitavinji, Rebecca as well in there, and I'll try to come to, well, as many as we can. Have got 7 minutes to the top of the hour. Catherine, you're back.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Just that these issues have been ongoing for some time. The children need to go for some kind of counseling. They have a lot of anger. And future relationship will be affected by the experience of their dad. So they need some kind of help, specialist help. If not, like if they have family, those large families back home, Sengas or Jazz, they need that support. Because if you hear the daughter saying, oh, we can kill you, whatever, that's a lot of pain, that's a lot of hurt. So the way they're talking, they're coming from a point of pain.
But they can kill you sounds so personal, Catherine. Looks like they could actually put it in practice. They sound like they're on drugs, even to me. It didn't sound like it was just the pain. It sounded like pain, but pain that was fired or enhanced by something else.
It could be that, but also, when you're using drugs, you're covering up something. So if the home is toxic, the home is not stable, you may start using drugs to cover that up.
Right.
So when you have a time to, put the onslaught on the person, giving you that pain, you give it to them.
Thank you very much.
We need that help. We need not to judge them, the way they were seated, the way they were behaving. They did not get that guidance, but also the parents, maybe the parents didn't have that guidance either. You cannot give what you don't have.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Catherine. Becca, change your own.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. You had Catherine there. I'm sure you are burning as well.
Sheikh Kayira, I'm still fuming from the video. Every time I watch it, literally it's like I'm watching it for the first time. I'm still fuming. Because Sheikh
What is
Kayira,
so annoying for you? What's killing you then?
from when your daughter can get the guts to actually say the F words and point at you and also disrespect you in that manner, Sheikh Kayira, that's not the first time they've done it. To get that confidence to speak to me in that manner is literally ridiculous. Sheikh Kayira, your man and Nari Mogoba Munyibona mama wako. You leave the house. You actually, sorry, you kick them out. You have to kick them out imminently at that point. I don't even know how we managed to stay calm. I wouldn't have stayed calm, you know, because literally you kick them out. Because
Becca looks like Catherine. Becca, I can hear your anger now, but Catherine wants to talk to you. Catherine, talk to Becca, please. Talk to Becca. He might bust through the Zoom.
Becca, you're really upset, but you cannot give what you don't have. If the parents didn't have any parenting skills, they're not going to give the same any parenting skills to the children.
Becca?
I think it means we both failed, and if we both failed, and I'm the one paying the bills, one of us has to leave, and that's the parents, and sorry, the mother and the daughters.
Sheikh Kayira, I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Becca has reminded me of one of our elders. His kids ganged up on him with their mother because he had gotten married to another wife, and when he came back home, they asked him, "Dad, why did you marry so and so?" His reaction, subhanallah, was so good. He asked them, "Who is the head of this family? Who is the owner of this house?"
Becca is still fuming, and I wanted Becca because someone actually here, I think is Bint. Bint has said here, we are looking for men to marry. She's throwing the man out. You want to come and comfort yourself. You see,
definitely, Sheikh Kayira, I would go as far as getting a visa for the lady in Uganda. That's how far I would go, Sheikh Kayira. Because if the ones you have at home are disrespecting in this manner, you cannot take out your video and start filming your father and put them on social media.
But even the one you bring from Uganda, once she settles in, she will just become that. That one came from Uganda.
I'll refix the mistakes I did the first time round.
Right. Catherine? Yes. Catherine, you are talking to Becca. We're sort of burning to
Becca, I don't know where Becca lives. I don't know where
Becca lives in the United Kingdom with a lady in the United States.
I don't know what his experience is, but for me, I'm coming from the experience of social care. So my experience is very different. What you give to the child is what you're going to get from the child. And also your previous experience is what you're going to give to your child. So his experience, Becca, is anger. I need to give it to you. No, that's not the way from my experience. But I also understand Becca's experience as well.
All right. Becca, come in.
Catherine, let me ask you a question, Catherine. Are you going to wait for this daughter of yours to stab you? You know, these kids, they're so angry. You know, she said, I feel like I want to stab you. You know, I want to kill you rather. She said she wants to kill the father. From when you can act, these kids in the diaspora, they're different. They're not like the ones in Uganda. Here, if a child says, I'll stab you, she'll stab you. You know?
I understand that, and that's where I'm coming from because I work in that environment. That child is hurting. That child is in pain. She needs somebody to talk to other than putting a knife to his dad.
Catherine, for me, even I felt like the anger is not even with the father. I felt like this child, maybe she's got a boyfriend and maybe the boyfriend cheated on her or something. So the anger was not just because of the father. I feel like this anger came from even someone else.
Becca, I think you've lost it.
That child was addressing. You are stretching it a bit too much.
Yes, that child was addressing his dad.
Well,
and
it's exactly
I think she was just
left, right, and center. I'll just go to Abu Mariam and allow you to come in.
Sheikh Kayira, 1 second. Sheikh Kayira, 1 second. As wrapping up, I think the main problem here is because in the diaspora, we've imitated and copied the Western way of living, the Western way of like literally in the house. Look at the way the child was sitting. Even the setting was a Western setting. We need to go back to our norms, basically, as Africans. We are Africans, and I think even tomorrow's show we're discussing this. We've imitated things from the Western way, the love from the Western side, but then we have love as Africans, as Black people. We have our own way of bringing up a child. We have our own way of living in a house. So tomorrow, even on Bridging the Gap from 7 o'clock, we're looking at how we have imitated the things from the Western type of marriage.
Becca, what have you put in your home?
Look at the prongs and the negatives on tomorrow's show.
Right. Thank you very much, Becca. That was a plug-in Godin. Abu Mariam, I bring you on. Abu Mariam, assalamu alaikum. This is 1 minute past 10 o'clock. Oh my goodness. We must be wrapping up as we have another 10 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Another 10 minutes and we're out of here. Abu Mariam, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Welcome to the conversation.
Kassim, Kayira, I'm so glad to be on today. Last week I tried to be on, alhamdulillah, but the program had ended, so I could not contribute. So fortunately enough, today, alhamdulillah, I'm on. My wife decided, my wife persuaded me, actually said, you have to be on this program. And she's on listening, alhamdulillah. She's on, and I said I'll be there. Well, I got a lot of points, Kassim. I got a lot of points, but I'll start with one. Number one, growing up, I realize now that our parents did a great job. A very great job. When we were young, we did not imagine, we did not know what kind of job they were doing. And we used to tell people, Dad beats me, Dad does this, Dad does this, Dad doesn't like me. Our parents really liked us. I don't even know how, growing up, how I could get the guts to look at my dad's phone. Oh my God, subhanallah. I'm sure he would go, get a kiboko, tunaita kiboko ile ambayo inanyorosha ile watoto inakunyorosha, alafu akunyorosha vizuri, akupige bambam hizo ndio fahamu. You see? But today we have a very big problem, I'm telling you. All of you who are listening, I used to be a teacher in Cambodia International before. That is like 10 years ago, before it was sold out to IU. And we used to have parents who used to bring their kids from the UK, from the diaspora, to come and study there. And my God, what we would go through to bring them up was hell, I'm telling you. But trust me, by the time they left Cambodia in one term, oh my God, the parents would come and kneel down, thank you so much. My kid was like this. My kid was like this. My kid was like this. And that really, really helped so much. Now, the parents were in the diaspora. If you cannot raise your child, alhamdulillah, I thank my wife. She's on right now. Alhamdulillah, I give her a very big applause for raising our little daughter. And she has done a very good job. Now, there are those parents who cannot do this. I know so many who shy away from the kids. Like the hadith say that Muma say in future, children will be bosses to their parents. That is one of the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah. The children will be bosses to their parents. They're already our bosses, right? And the Prophet said, do not let yourselves be signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is what is happening today. They're already our bosses. They do whatever they can do because we can't say anything. The government is supporting them. Everybody is supporting them. Now, that is a big problem. We have a lot of international schools in Kampala. If you cannot raise your child here, take them to Jaja. Let them first dig a little bit. By the time they come back here, they're going to bow down for you. That is one point. Point number two, I really don't understand what kind of woman would sit down and support the kids, stand with them, and start arguing with the father. The husband who went to their parents, gave whatever dowry it was, whatever it is, and got him from there before even the kids were born. And now today, sits down with the kids and draws a plan. Let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. I'm sure, Dr. Kassim, Kayira, this thing is going to come back to the kids when they grow up. Trust me, Now, what do we learn from this What do we learn from this as young parents? Because some of us are still young parents. We are bringing up our children here and there together. Let us sit down with them and give them the boundaries. Everybody has talked about the boundaries, and I support that 100%. Let's give them the boundaries. You know, tell them this and that, this and that. If you don't do this, you won't be here by this time. My wife normally tells our daughter, you know, this is bad, this is not good. Music is haram. She tells our daughter, and our daughter knows all these things. By the time she grows up, she will know that this was haram, this was halal, this is not acceptable. Now, our kids today, we shy away from our children, and that is a very big problem. I'm sure even some parents on this forum right now are listening to me. We shy away from our children, and that is a very big problem. Sit down with them, talk to them, and when the husband makes a mistake, go to the bedroom and argue it out. Now, when you talk in front of your kids about what your husband has done or about what their father has done, they are definitely going to throw him out. They can kill you. I mean, we can shoot you, we can do this. We've seen them here, Kassim, Kayira, in America. As in, they hold guns. Last time I was traveling with one of my passengers in my car, and she works at the prison. She's one of the prison wards, and she was telling me kids are inside there who have killed their parents. Subhanallah. You can imagine a man goes there then akwate mundu na kubesasa.
So Abu Fahima, so going forward, what's the way forward? You said we should train our children, we should have conversations.
We should have conversations with them. Number one. Number two, I'm looking at a problem here, Kayira, which I think everyone is not looking at. We were discussing this issue with my wife the other day. I'm looking at a problem here. I think Onamuchala, she denied what her husband was supposed to get. That is number one. She must have failed her duty.
Went to look for it outside.
Exactly. He went to a side dish, realizing that omukazi aganye kangende bali. That is another problem with women nowadays. Women nowadays, some of them
using conjugal rights now as a punishment, as a ticket to punish their husband.
He was dying. To quench his thirst.
We don't have that evidence, do we, Abu Fahim?
We don't have the evidence. We don't have the evidence.
Huh?
But we are trying to bring
we are just
one
assuming.
and two Exactly. We are trying to put one and two together. Now we are saying, let's do this. If these things happen, and these things are happening in homes, not only with these people, but even right now as I speak, so many homes in America have these issues because women go, never survive 3 nights, 3 days, muchiyumba. They come back after I don't know how many days. Then the guy is at home. Even women also, we go out there and come back. But seriously, indeed, does this have to call for a woman to speak to their kids and tell them that, you see, your father is like this, your father is like this, never take a more. It's going to affect the kids in the future. So please,
Rashida, it looks like you want to speak to Abu Mariam. Rashida?
Rashida, okay.
I just say something and then I'll cross over. We are already over the time.
Yeah.
I was going to say quickly that I think I go by what Catherine has kept on saying the entire time. And I hear the gentleman who's just left. And I think just because the diaspora, or just because that video has come out from that one family, it doesn't mean that they're the only ones who are suffering this. And I think really the bottom line is those children are suffering somehow. And there must be a reason where this has generated from. And I think...
Rashida, allow me to read you this message because it fits very well with what you're now saying. A message which has been sent to me privately. Hajatia says, children can see and know what is going on in the household.
That's
However,
right.
Parents need to protect the children's mental state. In this instance, the mom should have protected the children's mental health. Indeed, the children were traumatized by what went on. Go ahead. Do you agree?
And that definitely sums it up in a nutshell. And this is what I'm saying, that a lot has stemmed right from before. those children need, and I think what we forget that, yes, they're teenagers. Yes, one of the child did say that I'm going to kill you, dad, and this, that, and the other. But actually, where is the anger coming from? Anger does not come up in one day, and it does not, one day's anger will not explode to that extent. This is accumulated anger, which has been ongoing for a while, that the children have reached sort of exploding point. It's a bomb that's been waiting to literally to blow, and the opportunity has presented itself. But I think the bottom line is we have to look at the stemming problem other than looking at what is on the surface. This has come from before, and I think parents, we don't give the children the forum to actually say what is internally going on for them. You know, I think as much as the relationships between the husband and wife is very important, but what about the parent and child and parent and children relationship? Where is that in all this discussion? And I think that is also key, because at the end of the day, you as parent, you want to protect your own privacy and this, that, and the other. But we're forgetting that we've got young adults growing into parents themselves. And actually, we're missing the drill.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Rashida. And well, we've got now 4 minutes to the end of the program. We have to finish by 1/4 past, actually 15 minutes that we've stolen away from the top of the hour. So I'll bring in Nasa, and then I'll come to Lioness Africa. I think something is burning that has brought you back. Nasa, welcome to the conversation. Yes, please keep it short and sweet so that we can fit into the 4 minutes that we have left. Nasa, you have the microphone.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Nice to have you here.
Okay. First things first, the question to ask is this, I know this has been started due to the video that's been circulating. First point is this representative of our community in the diaspora?
A lot.
Okay.
A lot. So I think that's what the lady has just said, who was on, saying it's just this video, but it has taken many into a soul searching. Zaid was talking about looking and checking himself around, sort of checking who was around as he's watching the video with the anger. But it has a lot that it portrays a lot of what is going on behind.
Yes, my follow-up to that, Sheikh Kassim, is that let us not, as a result of this, turn around and start being very rigid towards our children and thinking, oh, I don't want this to happen in my family. I don't want this to happen in our family. Yes, as a culture, and I'm sure there's not just only Muslims on here, but also we have a hadith about how gentle to be with children. Now, this goes back again to if we're to use this family as an example about the family dynamics. We can talk about how we were raised. We need to see how do we adapt to the situation we're in right now. Right. And the best way perhaps to do that is that you need to establish a bond with your children. And also, as there's a sheikh that I was listening to on here, who said that you also need to establish your authority as a husband, but also the wives also need to acknowledge that authority, as long as it is not authority that is being abused, because obviously Islamically and culturally that is not acceptable. Right. So we need to start taking responsibility. And it is tough in the economic environment right now, where you find yourself, mom has to work, father has to work. And so who's raising the children? Who's influencing the children? And so dua, okay, is really, really important, as we know. And then still making sure that you check ourselves. We need to live in the moment and not just let things just flow, because when things flow, you have external influences that will have, without a doubt, such repercussions in our community. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much, Nassan. That leaves us 1 minute, which I will allow. Well, if there was another hand, I would have allowed that hand, but given Lioness is there, I'll allow you that 1 minute as we wrap up the conversation. Something must be burning for you to come back.
I think even I'll take less than a second. I think I had my sister there before talking, and I just want to remind us, parents, especially us in the diaspora, please, let's remember the boundaries that we have to set. let's remind us that, because we have to know what we share with our children. Whether they are going through what are we're going to, let's know what to share with them, what they are allowed to share with us, to avoid this kind of situation. And let's also dig and know what they're being taught outside there. Like my brother just said, sometimes we are very busy and we don't know what is going on with our children. But also we need to know what they're being taught outside there with our respective different cultures where we are, depending where USA, UK, Sweden, Holland, everywhere. Because we need to dig deep. Let me tell you, this thing goes deeper. And my brother, please, next time come with a topic so that we parents in the diaspora, we can share a lot about raising children in the diaspora. Please, I beg you.
Well, definitely, I think that's a very good idea.
So, so that people can understand where we come from and where this issue also came from. Thank you, my brother.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. It is 15 minutes. Well, a minute is actually gone on to 16 minutes past 10 o'clock. Well, we can only say thank you so much. This is a conversation that does not have an end. Probably just opens up the start of a very big conversation. Next week, inshallah, we shall be picking up to see now. Probably we should be talking about exactly what Africa has suggested, the idea of parenting in the diaspora, challenges of parenting in the diaspora. Something we have touched on slightly before, but I think the more the dynamics change, the more interesting the conversation becomes. But before I call it a night, Isma, please have that particular clip that I really wanted so much. I can only tell you that following what happened, of course, yeah, you can play that clip now, Isma, while I'm talking over it. But it's about the kind of social media frenzy that it has raised. We are not the only ones. People have spoken so much about what happened to this family. We are not the only ones having something that is taken for weeks and people are talking about. You can see everywhere across the continent. It's been mainly an African conversation. You don't see many white people coming in. So much an African conversation. Getting East Africans, getting West Africans, getting people in the diaspora talking about this particular situation has brought a lot of pain. One thing that is without a doubt, this family might never be the same again. They might have been traumatized, as one person said here. They were speaking out of pain. They were confused about what was going on. Again, it's clear the parents have done a lot more. What can I not say? But thank you very, very much for everyone who has been kind. It was actually amazing. I can tell you without a shadow of doubt that the man going over the weekend and he's turned into a celebrity, an instant celebrity. Is a socialite where he lives, but all of a sudden, as you can hydrate. The man suddenly became a sensation. Isma, I would like to end the program with that particular clip of him in the club and how he was received. Just to say, while we were talking about the bigger issue, I think iPhone was saying the issue that we were talking about has been lost, which was the issue of infidelity. Let's see what happened when he went actually to the club over the weekend, I think sort of wiping the tears of the situation that he had gone in. You would have thought that probably the reception would have been lukewarm, probably would have been scared even to go out there, but he didn't. He enjoyed every bit of it. Isma, please find us that clip as we wrap up. Thank you so much. I'll just be reading your messages in the chat room as Isma finds us that clip of the man going to the club and how he was received. It was just a very interesting scenario there. You would have thought that actually, well, people would be looking at him weirdly, but surprisingly, like one of the people here, I think it was Bint, who said, "We are looking for men and someone is throwing away one, we'll just pick him." Charity begins at home, said Zena. Isma, I'm hoping you're finding that clip so that we'll wrap up with that. Says, Zena was saying, oh, subhanAllah, just lost that. Thank you, brother Kassim. Yes, discipline. Okay, that's the man himself now. We can actually end our program now. Let's play. That's him in the club. Well, you can see that was the man on over the weekend having fun, suddenly forgetting. He became suddenly an instant celebrity there, and you can tell what happened. Well, society has its own ways of doing things. You would have thought that probably the attitude would have been different, but what was supposed to have been a shameful or pain for him suddenly now made him another celebrity. While you throw away something, someone will want to pick it up. Lots of lessons, lots of homes, lots of takeaways from this conversation, one that definitely is continuing. Don't forget to follow programs on 75 Radio and on Umma Connected, which continue throughout the course of the week. I hope to see you next week on Tuesday, inshallah, same time with another very interesting topic that you will get to know. Please do not miss. Call your friends, invite your neighbors. Let's talk. This is Come, Let's Talk with me, Kassim Kayira, and we have been live on 75 Radio, live on Umma Connected, and we were streaming live on YouTube. We were live on Facebook and on Zoom. Thank you very much and hope to see you next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.